Hey everybody, and welcome to Robin's House. Today we're going to be working on coloring, but I also want to talk a little bit about options. So you can see that this bear for Love Notes is cut both on white and on toffee. I have another option where this one is cut on shortbread. So this one, for example, you don't have to color this one at all if you don't want to. You cut it on toffee and then stamp it on a patterned paper, cut it out, and then you kind of, that is all the coloring that you need. But since this workshop is about coloring, so if you do on a brown already toffee bear, you can add your coloring and highlight certain areas. You know, I left his little feet and his little tummy to be toffee colored, and then I used a marker to color the rest. And then there is the white bear. So you can color him light, you can color him medium, and then one of the cards that we're doing, I colored him dark. Now I prefer him kind of the medium color, so that's what I'm going to actually color with you today. So I'm using the earth brown blend to color my little bear, and I'm also using the gold brown blend for his little tummy spots. So in this one, I'm using the medium brown, and I kind of always start the same way. So I outline my project, and I stamp with a regular black. I don't do archival or any of the other blacks. I just stamp with regular black. So I be careful somewhat to not actually touch the lines as I'm going, but I'm not too careful, but especially if I've just stamped it. And then I just kind of color it in, going over what I colored on the edges, but not paying too much attention. So, and then I go on here. So you can, some people color very methodically, going like this, and there is nothing wrong with that. It probably does look very nice when you're done, but I find that with the alcohol markers, it blends itself pretty well anyway. But that can be helpful, especially when your pen is almost running out of ink. Going nice and slow is quite helpful. So on this part, when I'm doing his little arms, so I try to do a real dark one on the edge, and then a real dark one over here, and I'll go over that again later. So once I go through all the coloring, I'll go back and do where I think there would be shadows. So I'm trying to do this quickly, but I do want to make sure that you see coloring is super easy. It's not, you can't really do it wrong. And then the nice thing about the alcohol markers is it's so easy to go back and add something. So it's easiest if you go lighter than you think, because you can always make it darker. You can also always make it lighter, but it doesn't quite turn out the same. So here I am almost done with my bear already. Okay, so now what I said, would I go back? So I'll go back over this section, same color, same pen, but by going over it one more time, it will add a little bit of depth to it. So I just want to add a little bit of depth to the inside of his little leg, and on the bottom where the shadow would be. And right here where he's sitting, that's probably going to be shadowed over as well. And under his neck, that's shadowed. His little nose that sticks out. And then you can decide if you want to add shadow to the edge of his face, you know, to emphasize the roundness. I don't think it's necessary per se. It looks pretty good like this. So of course we have his little ears to do as well. But then so I did the medium. So this one is medium, this one is light. So depending on how light you want his little tummy to be. So again, I outline it first, color it in, and then so I'm gonna let that tummy sit for a moment and color other things. And then I can go back to it once I've added some color, because I feel it also, if you give it a second to dry, the second coat will matter more. You can, you'll get to see that emphasis. And so I'm also going to emphasize his little edge of his little feet and the bottom of his little feet. There you go. So that when you're done, you don't have to have that much effort. Well, you can see I've got some in the video, and it looks more worse than it does, but you can see I have a lighter spot when okay, so we can talk about that. So this one I colored, all over the place. This one I did that technique where you go back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. So each one has its time and place. So you can see that this one ended up a little bit lighter because I really only went over places one time. But it doesn't really look like this in real life. It's not quite so shadowed and light, and so it looks quite nice on my thing. But that is how you basically color. And then same with the bouquet. I did the bouquet part in gray. That outlining the bouquet packaging in gray just makes it look like white with shadows. And so I don't want this one to be gray, but I can do it in pink and it's the same idea. So you just take I'm using my middle pink, peach coral blend. So what I did with the gray was I just outlined the outline, added the emphasis on the folds, and then I added some to the edges, and then again to the folds. So if I was using gray, I would stop now, but I'm going to continue because I want this one to be medium-sized coral. So after I am done doing the outlining, I would have done anyway, I can go ahead and color in the middle. And as I'm coloring over that place that I already drew, in theory, it will get darker, or I can go over it again while it's still wet, just to make that part a smidgelet darker than the rest. And I can do that down here too while it's still wet. And then if it's still not, I'll go one more time. That's easy. And then it just really creates this nice layered shadow. There you go. And then you just color the rest how it's colored, and it's done. Let's see if you can see, if I pick it up a little bit, can you see that? Yeah, you can see that there's more on the edges and more inside those folds. So that's all you would have to do to create a look. Doesn't it look nice when it's just a bit of color there to make it look like it's not, nobody paid any attention to it at all. So there are some tips for coloring your Love Notes projects. Thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting.